Okay, so long story short, welcome to class. Uh, a lot has happened since our last meeting, and I don't mean in terms of our class. Our prior conversations before, when we were in the live classroom, and also presently here in the virtual classroom. I had mentioned about spoke about the price of gold. I spoke about tariffs. I spoke about trade things going on. And that's exactly what's happening. All right. So Donald Trump, our president-elect, he is essentially in this process where he's going to move forward with tariffs. So he's officially confirmed he's going to move forward with the tariffs. So 25% tariffs. So what does that mean? How's that going to affect us? How's that going to affect what's going on in our economy? How is that going to affect the price movement of assets and commodities, things we buy, things we sell? Uh, what's happening, right? So I mentioned that to you. I bring that up to you again because the things you're learning in the textbook, those definitions are very much relative to what you're experiencing here, right? So we're going to go over chapter 5 today. It's about how to form a business. I teach entrepreneurship. In fact, entrepreneurship is actually the specialty I teach predominantly at CUNY. I teach intro to business, and I teach entrepreneurship classes. That's usually what I teach. Uh, I would say this is relevant to what we're discussing because many of you or some of you in this class may or may not become business owners. And it's important to understand the importance of how owning a business or forming a business impacts our environment, how it impacts your business. There's different types of businesses you can organize. I'll go over with you. I'll discuss it with you. I'll go over a little bit over business structure. These were things when I was a student, these were things I was predominantly curious about. Hopefully, I can answer some of those questions for you over the next couple of minutes. But the point I'm hammering over though is that uh, a lot of businesses are going to suffer tremendously if there's an increase in tariffs because all the manufactured goods that they're buying come from overseas. They're not all domestic, right? Not everything you buy, or the supply of goods of goods that we purchase domestically here in the U.S. Not all of it is manufactured in the U.S. or produced in the U.S. So the U.S. may manufacture something, but it may order supplies from other countries. Maybe 30% of its supplies are domestic and it's buying stuff from other countries because it's more affordable. So a lot of those businesses are going to be having financial challenges. In fact, I think a business union or a union of businesses petitioned to our president-elect to request an exemption on tariffs for businesses. So essentially, if you're a business and you want to buy products overseas, it's going to be 25% more expensive. Uh, and they want an exemption because it'll impact their business because their costs will go up. And then the price of what you need to buy will go up. And if your salaries are not going up, then what are you supposed to do? Right? So the thing about understanding about a business and form, this is just basics about what a business is, what types of businesses. But it's important to understand that when you run a business, you are very, very sensitive to economic conditions, supply chain issues, industry issues pertaining to your industry. Can make or break your business, right? You could be a doctor and then medical laws change, insurance billing laws change, and now you can't make the same money you were making. Could destroy your industry. So those are things that are risks to take in consideration. Based upon the things that are happening right now in our society. So uh, there are three major types of business entities: sole proprietor, partnership, and corporation. Sole proprietor is where you are and own the business. One individual owns the business, you own it. You assume all the risk and liability for that business. So, for example, let's imagine you own a pizza shop and you open up the pizza shop as a sole proprietor. And you come into the pizza shop, right? And I just realized my video's off. So let's fix that. All right. So you come to the pizza shop, you open up, you're cooking pizza, you're making pizza. Someone comes in, uh, you give them a piping hot slice of pizza. They bite the pizza, they burn the roof of their mouth, they burn their lip because the sauce was bubbling, and they sue you. Your pizza was too hot, you burned my lip. This is what happened with McDonald's, by the way, right? McDonald's, a woman uh spilled her coffee. The coffee gave her third degree burns because the coffee was too hot. She sued McDonald's. I think it was McDonald's. Could have been Dunkin' Donuts. I don't remember, but it was one of those companies. And she won because the coffee was too hot. She spilled it on herself and she was able to sue them. And she won. So now you see on every single Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, any company that sells you coffee, it says a warning label. It says warning, caution, contents hot because she won that lawsuit. So here's the issue. If you were a sole proprietor, and I'm going back to the pizza shop, and you have a pizza shop and you give someone a hot pizza and they burn their mouth and they sue you, and you are a sole proprietor, you are personally liable for any financial damages that can occur in that lawsuit. So if that person sues you and wins, and let's say they sue you and they win $1 million, you personally are liable for that $1 million. So if you own a car, a house, money in the bank, personal assets, they could take all that from you, right? Now, if that money was in a partnership, this specifically, if that money was in a corporation, it doesn't work that way. So a corporation is a legal entity with authority to act and have liability separate from its owners. Okay, so the corporation has its own separate liability. So now we rewind back to the same story. You own a pizza shop, except your pizza shop is a corporation, an S corp or a C corp. Instead of it being a sole proprietor where you own the pizza shop, you own the corporation. And the person comes in to do business with the corporation, that's the pizza shop, because you're just an employee of your business. Doesn't matter that you own it, doesn't matter. And they burn the roof of their mouth and they burn their lip and they sue you, they have to sue the corporation, which is the pizza shop, because the pizza is owned by the corporation. The dough is owned by the corporation. The oven's owned by the corporation. The lease is in the corporation's name. It's the corporation's assets. So and if they sue you, the first thing is you probably would have insurance. It's called a business liability policy or a business insurance policy. And that would indemnify you of some financial burden in the event of legal dispute or matter if it happened, right? The second thing is that if they did win and you had to pay or something above that amount, uh, you'd only be responsible for the assets of the business. So if the business has a couple of bucks in the bank account and it owns a bunch of pizza machines and some ovens and some pans and food supplies, that's all they're good. That's all that's liable. You could have $1 million home and a big car and whatever. It's not on the hook, right? Because that's not a part of the business. So the basic idea here of ownership of business is liability and tax responsibility, right? And then there's some other schemes that entities may or may not afford based upon specificalities of the engagement of the operating agreement and things of that sort. But we're not going to get into that. So sole proprietorship, you are liable. A corporation, the corporation is liable. Okay, that's the main thing. So which one should you form? You should form a corporation, particularly an S corp. If it's just you as an individual, maybe a handful of employees, you start off with an S corp, right? Why do people do sole proprietors? Because it's cheap. Okay, it's very just super cheap. You go to the county clerk's office. You could start a business tomorrow, guys. This is how you would do it. All right, you go to the county clerk's office. You say I want to register a DBA, a doing business as name. They'd instruct you where to go to get the document to the Blumberg legal documents. A guy across the street, literally like down the block. Go to that guy at this place, and you buy the documents. You sign them in front of him. He notarizes in front of you. You bring it back, and you have yourself a DBA, a doing business as name. So now you can do business under the name of whatever cookies. Then you go online to the IRS and you take that DBA name and you file a tax ID, a TIN number, tax ID number under that DBA certificate. And now you have a separate tax ID and a doing business as. And you could start to do business as a sole proprietor, doing business under a separate tax ID. So not under your social security number, on a separate tax ID. And you're not registered to do business. You take those two documents, the DBA, doing business as. So whatever it's going to be, let's say John's Electronics or uh, Bob's whatever, plus whatever certifications you would need to legally do business in whatever business you're doing. Like you're selling insurance or you're doing cannabis or whatever, you got to have that. That's stuff that's, whatever the state or the city requires you to legally transact specific types of business, you have that. But anyway, so you have the doing business as name, John Electronics. You have the tax ID with the IRS. You Google it. You pull up. You have a separate ID number. You bring those two articles to a bank, and a bank will set up a business account for you. And now you have a legal business account operating under a separate tax ID or a separate social security number, technically, from your own. So when you report your taxes to the IRS or to your accountant, you say, I'm reporting it under this tax ID number. And this is the business name. It's going to be John Doe doing business as John Electronics, sole proprietorship. And now you have a business. So guess what you could do now? You can go to distributor, you go to a wholesaler, you buy wholesale, right? I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I want to flip it, I want to sell on eBay, I want to sell on Amazon or whatever. You can start buying things. You can go to a Restaurant Depot, Costco, whatever, sell stuff. You can find a wholesaler, start selling stuff. Depending on the industry and the product you're buying or selling, they may want more information. Like, for example, if you were to buy collectible cards, baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, and you wanted to buy from a distributor, you need to have a physical location. Usually, not all of them require it, but the major ones want a physical location. So they vet to see, do you have a physical location? You'd have to take photos of your signage, your store, stuff like that, right? But then the catch-22 is, well, how do I have a store if I can't sell the product, right? So it's like a catch-22. So I don't know, you'd have to rent a space out, renovate the space, or maybe create plans of what it would look like and have photos rendered of it or something, and then say, this is the store, I have a lease, we're going to start selling sports memorabilia, whatever, and then you could get a distributor. Not all distributors require that type of detailed information. The other thing distributors want, they want like a certificate of a tax. Can't remember the exact name, guys. Forgive me. Like it's like a certificate of a tax sale. It's a New York thing where you can collect sales tax, and you have like a certificate of collection of sales tax. And that's just something you go online and Google. And usually when you're buying with a distributor or a wholesaler, they want that. So separate from the tax ID, separate from the DBA, which they require those documents, they'll want that. And that's something you just file with New York State. You can do it online. It's easy. And you can start, you bros, you guys, girls, that's it. You're business owners now. All right. You could be sitting here doing homework and you could be starting a business on the side. A couple of $100 in notary fees and a couple of $100 in just some basic fees to get the entity set up and have enough money in the business account to function the business account, and now you could start buying and selling stuff. set up an eBay account, set up an Amazon account, set up whatever. There you go. You're an entrepreneur. All right. So that's how that works. But obviously, remember, if you're a sole proprietor, you're 100% liable. So some people start out as a sole proprietor just to test things out because the entry to try it is cheap. If they start to make money and they start to grow, you could just register a corporation afterward and transfer over to a corporation. A licensed CPA could probably assist you in that process. Many of them provide those services to help you with that as a fee. You get the ball rolling. Okay, so that's like the skinny of it. So partnerships, there's two types of partnerships: general partnership, limited partnership. Um, the definition is here. Know the definition for your exam. General partners are partners who have unlimited liability. This just pertains to liability, right? A limited partner who owns or invests in the business but does not have any management responsibility. So that could be where the general partner is running the business, and the limited partners have ownership but aren't running it. They're just sort of collecting income. They have a limited power in it. There's MLPs. You'll see MLPs usually oil investment opportunities are set up as master limited partnerships. You have limited liability partnerships. You also have limited liability corporations as well. Okay. So we kind of went over this already. We don't need to jump on that again. There's domestic corporations, foreign corporations, there's a lot of different not-for-profits as well. We went over the advantages between that. Okay, gave you information about that. So an LLC, I'll go over the LLC with you. LLCs are similar to an S corp, but without the special eligibility requirements. So the advantage of an LLC is they're limited liability. They have flexibility. They're very flexible. So just think about this. LLCs are one of the most flexible corporations you could have. Okay. So that's the benefit of an LLC. You'll see a lot of businesses that maybe own or hold assets like properties. They'll set up themselves as an LLC. It's about mergers. Companies buy each other, sell each other. A vertical merger versus a conglomerate merger, which is on the exam. The definitions are here. The exam is just memorizing the definition, regurgitating it, maybe having a basic understanding of what it pertains to. That's all there is to that. Leveraged buyout is where I buy out another company, but I borrow money to do it. So if I wanted to, let's say I'm Pepsi, right? I'm Pepsi, and there's a cool new drink brand that's hitting the market and everyone's buying that drink. And I say, oh man, that company's blowing up. I want to buy them out, right? So then Pepsi doesn't need to use its own cash. Pepsi can raise capital uh, through private investors or selling stocks of his company to raise cash to buy out someone. So it's kind of like, let's say I wanted to buy your pizza shop, right? And let's say, oh, buy my pizza shop. I'm just gonna make up a number, $1 million, right? I'm gonna buy your pizza shop for $1 million. It better be a fantastic pizza shop. I'm buying it for $1 million, right? So I'm buying your pizza shop for $1 million. I don't have $1 million, right? So I raise money to buy the $1 million through debt. So I borrow the money to do that. It's called leveraged buyout. But the leveraged buyout is typically using your own company, the shares, raising debt through your own company, equity of your own company to buy out another company. So you don't always need to have cash to buy out other companies. Diamond Almonds, Diamond Nuts did that. That's how they became large. They just took a whole bunch of debt out and started buying a lot of other companies off, and then they use the other companies they buy to pay off the debt they use to buy out someone else. Because the whole idea is you buy it out, you're taking out all this debt, you got to pay the debt back, right? But when you buy out the other business, you own them now. So then you use the income from that business to pay off the debt. So it gives you the flexibility to buy out companies without actually having the money. That's what a leveraged buyout is. All right. Franchise agreement, advantage of franchises. Franchises give a lot of administrative stuff, a lot of costs associated with it. Setting and starting up a franchise is not an easy thing. Buying into a franchise is easy, but setting up your own franchise for your business is not always that easy. Even smaller franchises are global. There's a lot of different aspects of the franchise. A cooperative, this is cool. All right. A cooperative is a business owned and controlled by people who use it. So if it's usually like not for profit, has board of directors, is run more democratically. Cooperative is cool. And I'll probably end on this note of the cooperative. And what I will say is, if you were to buy a car, right? Let's say you want to buy a Toyota. Let's just say it's $20,000. Right? I want to buy a Toyota. It's $20,000. You have to go to in the U.S. You have to go to a dealership, right? And the dealership buys directly from Toyota, and then the dealership marks up the price and sells it to you retail, right? So if you're a cooperative, you can say, you know what? Let's get 10,000 people together. Let's start up our own dealership. Let's go to Toyota and let's buy Toyota cars wholesale. And all 10,000 of us buy one car. And we form a cooperative. And now we have the purchasing power not of one person, but of 10,000 people able to buy 10,000 cars at a discount. So a cooperative allows people to come together. It could be a not-for-profit cooperative. It usually is not-for-profit, not always. And you're sort of combining your economic power and resources together strategically to then allow you to have better negotiation, scale, and purchasing power to buy at a discount. You could do that. You can jump into like a farming cooperative, and farmers do that. You got like a farmer with their own small farm. You have a cooperative of 100 farmers coming together and saying, hey, McDonald's or Whole Foods, buy our eggs, right? Because McDonald's isn't going to buy eggs from one farmer, but they may buy 1 million eggs from thousands of farmers. So cooperative allows people to come together to also scale their ability to sell to larger franchises, larger companies, and also purchase in bulk for cheaper. Because every farmer needs this. Why buy one? Buy 1,000 and get it for a discount. So that's the benefit of a cooperative. If people can work together, they could do amazing things. All right. So that is the end of our business lesson. I'm gonna pause recording, stop recording.